All right, we're looking at the first part of chapter 3, which focuses on the role of Greek culture in not just sport and physical activity, but society in a larger way, and how the connection between that larger society and sport influences us, and even in our professions. So, if we think of influencers today, we think of social media individuals, people that maybe have a message or a way of sharing that message. They've gathered a following, maybe a certain style of doing something that people appreciate and like. And that's really the same with the Greeks. And even though multiple cultures from over different types of time have influenced our culture today, Greece is really looked upon as a major player in this influence game. And one of the reasons why is because we've recorded over time how they've influenced us. They kept great records of stories through their mythology, the systems that they would create. And we saw that sport, how it was used, was not only written down, so the folklore and the mythology of games, of competition, but the concept that sport unified people. And that's something that I think in all generations people can understand and reach for. They want this concept of being unified. And another thing that's understood across generations is the concept of power. And so, like other civilizations that we've seen, Greeks were very similar in that they used both individual and civic displays of physical activity and sport to liken what they showed of strength and skill as power. Greeks also were very known to have a fluid belief structure between the spiritual and the natural world. So gods interfering or intervening, I should say, in sports and physical contests as almost as spectators, as a higher level player, higher level individual person. So why we study them, it's again this concept of influence, and you can see here on the left multiple areas that have really been cruxes of our life and our society, were also cruxes of the Greek life and society, and some of these were really honed in by the Greeks. And so concepts, especially of government and education, we see philosophy with value systems, inquiries, our scientific method, for example. These were developed not necessarily by the Greeks, because we don't want to say they invented these things, but they were able to use them and transform them to create a society that was notable and memorable, and they recorded them. And so the importance is that these systems have survived the test of time. And so they've been passed down through to different cultures, and we've adopted them. So a question I want you to think of as you read is, why do you think the ancient Greeks elevated the body and what the body can do in sport, and ideas of physical education, of training and training the body in different methods? Why do you think they elevated this to such a high status? Next, as you go through the chapter, what you've read so far, what were some of the intersections, crossovers between philosophy, culture, politics, religion, any of these areas, into sport and physical training? And our last self-reflection tip for right now: why would individuals, and we kind of see this today, why would they dedicate their entire life to elite training or elite display or elite military display of skill and prowess and competition? Maybe this might go back to, why did the culture value it as much? But why would an individual want to do this? So as we go on, we know that Greeks are attributed back to this concept of virtues. And again, we see virtues in many cultures, but specific to the Greeks, something that has stood the test of time is this idea of a goal in life to support happiness and the flourishing of humanity, and an idea that to support what is considered a good life or a virtuous life, that action should also follow these virtues of whatever is considered right and whatever is considered good to get to this life of flourishing and happiness. And so if your actions follow these moral values, there's alignment, you can be considered virtuous. So as we move on, another Greek value we're going to look at specifically is called arete. And arete is considered excellence, If something is done with arete, it's done with highest quality, highest virtue, highest goodness. And so arete can connect to all parts of life, including our sport. And so our showcases of strength, for example, when we have, say, a competition or the Olympic Games, for example, we always attribute back to the Greeks. It's a socio-sport example of arete. It's the highest level of athlete who requires the highest level of training and dedication and physical strain and stress, requiring a body that's able to withstand that, requiring the discipline that's able to go through that type of training. So this word arete is symbolic not just to life, but also we see it in the sporting world. And so a tip for you is be able to define your personal statement. What does arete mean for you? What is your own personal excellence, the goodness, that flourishing of life that you want or you have?